Alright, what's up, guys? Well, the patch is out, and my thoughts on it are it is certainly a patch of all time. There's a lot of things in here that I'm gonna be honest are very, very questionable, and if you've played recently, because I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, this would have came out earlier, but I was asleep. I just woke up like 30 minutes ago and played a bit, saw the patch, and I don't know. I don't know what to think. Like some of the things in here are really good. Like some of the things here are great. Barb Iron Will got nerfed, which was needed to be fair. They nerfed two of Bard's strongest songs. I mean, did Harmonic Shield need to be nerfed this hard? It's hard to say. I mean, this song at this range right here pretty much gave like 10%. About it was like 10% resistances. Now it's only gonna give like 3 to 4, which is a difference. Not a giant one, but it is a difference. And it's probably still worth running because it is like it is just free stats you're getting. Alacrity, the move speed got changed a lot. 10 flat off at every rank, which is pretty wild. It's actually a lot. So it went from around 8% to now it's only 5%. So 3% move speed off. It's pretty big. So we have some bug fixes up here, which doesn't really, like, no one really cares. I mean, this right here is really nice. This, if you don't know what this means Ghost King's pools that used to be invisible, they will now be visible. They should be. So that's pretty cool. This right here, there's certain areas where the revives, if they were beside like floor spikes or something, if you respawned on them, sometimes they would spawn you on top of them and would kill you. Other than that, we're gonna go over some of the stuff down here. Torture Mastery healing attribute ratio bonus has been changed from 50% to 25%. Now you just heal for, you just heal for half, I assume, of what you did before. I don't exactly know what this means. I'm assuming this means like how much magical healing affects it. So you need twice the amount of magical healing you did before to get like the same amount of healing. So if you had two, if you had two before, now you would need 4 to have the same amount of magical healing, which is pretty good. Warlocks are definitely healing way too much. Eldritch Shield magic damage absorption changed from 40 to 25. Dark magic damage bonus changed from 40% to 20%. And cost changed from 5 to 10. This is pretty good. One of the best things that this does is it makes it so Warlocks can't cast Eldritch Shield and cast Sacrifice on the same target. Because if they do that now, eventually they will start taking damage. And it takes more for the Warlocks to cast it. Warlocks Hydra cost changed from 15 to 20. Doesn't really matter. Like, kind of whatever. Like, sure, it does something, but most of the time they're just going to heal right back. So, not really that important. The biggest thing is this right here. The biggest thing is them requiring more magical healing to get to that crazy point. And you're not really using Hydra unless you have that much anyways. Ray of Darkness, dark magic damage has been changed from 3 to 7, and the cost has been changed from 5 to 10. I feel like this could be insane with a lot of stats. I don't know, but I feel like, because like 7's a lot per tick. That is a lot of damage. This could be insane. Who knows? Ormal's armor pin has been changed from 30% to 20%. Very good. Very needed change. I've spoken about it before. This is absolutely, like, needed to happen. Warmal was way too strong and nullified way too much armor. It was way too good. Alright. Krista Dagger's animation has been modified. I haven't seen what this looks like. Don't know if it matters. The primary modifier for many items has been adjusted. So basically, this means, for example, heavy little legs used to roll strength. Now they roll max HP as a base. And they did that with a lot of items. I don't know what all the items re-rolled to, but I just know that's one example. And, it makes it so you can't stack stats as easy. Can't stack so many, like, free stats as easily, like with riveted gloves, heavy leather legs, plate boots, etc. Random modifiers for items have all been adjusted. So you can't roll, like, weapon damage on... You can't roll weapon damage on armor and stuff anymore. You can only roll plus all attributes on pendants. And there's a couple other things, but this is overall pretty good. It makes it so, like, you don't have like insane stats just from, like, one piece of gear rolling everything, which is really good. There shouldn't be one roll that you have to take on every piece of gear for it to be viable, right? Like, that's just not good. All legacy items are now gone. Options that are removed or have their min-max values changed will be rerolled or rescaled to accommodate the new data. So this right here is going to be the biggest issue with this patch for a lot of people. They removed legacy items, which is great. Everybody wants that. However, what they did in the process was they basically butchered every piece of gear that you had before that. They basically, all your gear that had legacy stats is basically re-rolled, and it's a piece of trash now. For example, if I hide this really quick and you look at my stats here, I am 39-21 right now, and this is with a couple of gear changes. Before this patch, my stats were 51-41, and I had like another 10% physical damage reduction and like 30% MR. So they definitely changed the stats. Like that, the stat, like your gear definitely got much worse. Honestly, it's kind of like a mini wipe, which is it's good and bad. If it happens to everybody, it's okay. If it happens to just some people, it's whatever. Fountain of Speed's additional move speed change from 70 to 50. Great change. Just needs to go down. Honestly, the Fountain of Speed needs to just be removed. This thing is way too OP. Dungeons now drop high-quality items much more frequently and in greater quantities from all chests and sub-bosses. So now it's just much easier to get loot. I imagine they might have did this since they know they just butchered a ton of gear, so they're trying to get more gear back onto the market. Merchants no longer sell as many uncommon and rare items as before. Once again, good change. Makes it you want to get gear from the dungeon. This is, I think, the biggest one that's going to be in this patch, other than like them re-rolling gear and changing stats. You can no longer preview the random modifiers from Jack-o'-lantern's merchandise. So it is much harder to get good gear now. So now in one of my previous videos I said just buy candy and use all your candy on stuff. However, that is not what you do anymore. You can, but it's basically candy's now gambling on a purple item. You are basically I actually have a problem with this. Now Jack-o'-lantern is just a goblin merchant that guarantees you a purple item, which is stupid. It's like, why does the goblin merchant exist? For like that 0.001% chance to get a legendary? So Jack-o'-lantern's basically just purple goblin merchant now that you use with candy. Is what it is. It's definitely going to be interesting. It makes the gear much harder to get. You actually have to go play the game to get it now. And I think this right here is the one I have the biggest problem with. Matchmaking below level 14 has now been removed. So the problem with this is the below level 14 matchmaking was kind of like, not completely, because there were some like people that like smurfed in there. It was kind of like a safe haven for new players that wanted to learn the game. They could go in and like, they could play through like 1 through 15 and like play with other players of similar skill that weren't very good, that didn't really know what they were doing, and they could like learn the game that way. And then, if they got level 15 and they were ready, boom, they go into plus 15 queues. If they weren't, what most people were doing, where they would just remake a character and start again until they, they felt comfortable going in, because they didn't want to fight like super geared people or super sweats, which is fine. I think there are definitely probably some people abusing it. However, for the most part, that was pretty good because those players had like a casual space they could play in. Now, however, those players are all going to be thrown into a normal queue with a bunch of very geared people. I mean, if it makes it easier for everybody to get really good gear. See, the thing is, it's good and bad, because yes, everybody has access to better gear now, and it's easier to get it. However, the casual players that only are going to play like 2 hours a day or something or less, they're like, yeah, they can get that good gear, but are they going to be a match for the people that are playing 8-10 hours a day? Like, you make it easier to get good gear, but the problem with that is you still have to play the game to get that gear, right? And the people that are putting in 5 times their time is literally they're going to have 5 times their level of gear, basically. So I think this is going to feel really bad for new players, and I don't know why they did that. I mean, they said they're going to try to put in a new matchmaking system. However, this patch, I don't know. It's hard. I mean, they did exactly what I was worried they would do. I said in my video about Buff Ball, I said I think the way they're going to nerf this is they're just going to put one character into the ground, which is exactly what they did. Bard is now so bad. Bard is awful now. But we didn't get a haste change. We didn't get an invis change. No cleric nerfs. And Warmaul only got slightly nerfed, and Iron Will got slightly nerfed. So overall, like, it's not going to be as good because people get their gear back up. But when people get their gear back up, Buff Ball's still good. Buff Ball is still just as good as it was before. You just don't play it with a Bard. Now you play it with a Wizard and a Cleric. The only thing that really nerfs it is you have much less stats to work with now, which means less strength, less agility. Is that overall going to change a lot for the comp? Hard to say. Haven't got there yet. But it definitely will be a difference. However, I do think Buff Ball is still going to be crazy. A couple things to note is since weapon damage and additional magic damage are removed from gear, damage is going to be much lower this patch, just like it was before last patch. Like whenever the wipe first released, when you could only roll +1 on all gear, which is, or like not +1 all, but like +1 stats, like +1 strength, +1 agility, you could only roll that. So stats are going to feel much, much lower. Damage is going to feel much, much lower. Fights are going to feel longer, which is great. That's good. That is very good for everybody. The only downside is characters when you look at like, Ranger. Ranger's most of damage is coming from weapon damage. Their damage is even much lower. However, I don't mind it personally. I mean, I think it's great. Slow fights and longer time to kill is the best thing this game could possibly do. It's going to make the game much more fun, and I mean, the only downside to this patch, I'm going to be honest, is they re-rolled all existing gear, which if you didn't have gear, really, it didn't matter. It's great for you, because pretty much everybody's starting from point 0. And then they removed the under 14Q, which I think this could be bad, but, it remains to be seen. However, them getting rid of, like, Jack-O-Lantern, where you could see his stuff, great. Amazing change. Now you're gambling. Now you're not guaranteed getting a really good piece of gear. Same with this. And this right here, where they drop higher quality loot, is what it is. Hard to say how good it'll be. I haven't seen it myself. Actually, that's a lie. I have seen it. I watched my friends play. And from the chest in High Roller Hell, where after they did the boss, the big chest in the loot room, it literally gave them like 3 pieces of legendary gear. But anyways, that's going to be it for me. Overall, not a bad patch. I think it definitely could be good. And I'm excited to play it. So, catch you guys next time. Peace.